Welcome to this session. There's been time for a lot of thinking about what's happened so far, and I'm satisfied that it's worth a new report to you. It's good to be back. One thing that is really clear is that for us, these healing sessions are not really experiments anymore. My memories of the physics labs when I was a professor was I thought of them as experiments which were supposed to be, they could fail. And I suppose that it's possible here too, but by now I am so sure of my ground. I really am not sure what's going to happen, but I am sure I'll be glad that I did it. So the question of failure is not really, I don't think it's a valid one. Let's talk about recent changes in the method. If you've heard my other talks, you know that I've been using frequencies now for some years, probably close to 10. And since I was using the new analog devices AD9851, which is capable of getting good high frequencies up to well above 100 megahertz, we've been using those higher frequencies. As far as I'm concerned, the original kilohertz frequencies referred to in Dr. Clark's books are obsolete. Second point is that in order to determine the frequencies, I get very quiet and I wait. And then I use the strength test on each digit of each frequency. It sounds painful, and after now that I'm used to it, it's not really, but I have to say it is painstaking. It requires good precision. The results are so positive. I highly recommend them. That said, I suspect that the information is coming straight from my body, intuitively. So, while this method should work for you or anyone else, unless you're willing to be intuitive like this with your body, it probably won't help you, and this method won't help you. But the power of this method is just amazing. What would it be like? I don't know your age. Now, I'm in my mid-70s by now. What would it be like if you could completely eliminate all of the chronic ailments that plague us increasingly as we age, especially as we reach ages above, say 50. Remember, some time ago, age 50 was the age of death. Nobody survived longer than that. Well, now people do, but even so, it's asking a lot for good health beyond that age. Well, why not? Why not is very simple. Chronic stuff that has embedded itself deeply into the body, and ordinary methods just can't get rid of them. Well, if ordinary methods can't, how can this method Well, that said, I am using frequencies. How many of them? The answer is 6. 5 plus 1. The transition from 5 to 6 has been quite recent. We got a 6th generator and got it going. Has been very positive. And I'm quietly coming to the conclusion that we've reached the end on increasing the number of frequencies. I think this is the limit. And this leads to the question, what on earth did I accomplish by going from 5 frequencies to 6, and why? My conclusion is that we did accomplish something very important. For one thing, I am more or less convinced at this point that the arthritis that eventually I could not stop will be killed. Is the swollen joints that were painful, those structures are recovering. And 5 frequencies wasn't enough. 6, I believe, is doing it. I have a feeling that this hints that there must be complex parasitic structures in my body, and I suspect my wife's, given her reaction also, that are sufficiently complex that 6 frequencies are necessary to truly take them out. I'm very pleased with that. Here's another reason. Toxins. Now I'll stick with my hypothesis that only 1 frequency is necessary as far as the toxin is concerned. But how many frequencies are necessary to take out the parasitic cloud that does its best to make it impossible to use frequencies on the toxin? In my body, I think that's the killer. And that's the primary reason why 6 has been so helpful. Because with 6, I have room for 5 frequencies independent, as well as the toxin frequency, and I believe that's turning out to be enough. I guess that's really, maybe there is one more thing that's worth saying. Without this final improvement, I would have been able to back away and say there's got to be a better way. Now, I don't think so. I think the frequencies are the right way to go after these problems. It's turning out to be good for getting rid of parasites and good for getting rid of toxins, and it's sufficiently good for these things that I am convinced that it is truly working for both me and my wife. Which leads to an interesting question. What happens now in our lives as we finally start to rebuild our bodies after having gotten rid of those ancient embedded parasites that were living off us? There's some indication even in this late date, just starting out rather, early date, that our bodies are gaining strength. Now look, I'm in my mid to late 70s, she's older than that. People aren't supposed to be gaining strength at this age. We are also pretty obviously becoming healthier. I think I'm just going to leave you with that thought. But it's powerful. Think about it, please.
Thank you.